I want to talk about this new executive order that Trump signed
Which
with
one?
South Africa.
Oof.
This is a really interesting story.
You can't be talking about this because it sounds like you're noticing another anti-pattern here, Matt.
This is a really interesting story.
That's interesting and sad, but yes.
So in South Africa, there has been this movement. There is a group in South Africa they call them Afrikaners or the Boers.
the Boers, yeah.
And these are the traditionally white households that have been around for hundreds of years. And they tend to be in agriculture and finance and business, whatever.
Yeah.
They're a pretty big part of society.
Yeah, they're a very industrious species.
Correct. And there is this group, the new government within South Africa that has been allegedly, because I can't actually even find proof that this is actually true. They have allegedly been appropriating their land and giving it back to the people.
Yes. Yes.
And the people being black people.
Yes, and if we can go farther, there is plenty, in my opinion, evidence that these that they're getting killed. Right? It's very very kind of Palestine, kind of Gaza-esque, if you ask me.
Yeah, so there are a couple black extremists within South Africa that have these conferences and they talk about how you gotta
Kill the Boers, or delete the Boers.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just got us flagged. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you gotta delete the not low melatonin people, right? That this is a thing, but
Delete the pale skins.
I would consider them extremists.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The
'Cause
extremists don't represent everyone, but
Yeah.
that does exist, and we're seeing those clips all the time because
Yes.
it's extreme.
yes, absolutely.
I don't know if it's everybody.
It's not everybody, but it's enough where these people live in fear for their lives. It's a big enough issue where there are thousands of. There was a picture, and like, oh, can you verify it? Who knows? But a picture I saw of this road, you might have seen it, where they have all the crosses of these thousands of people who have been killed for their land, right? And they're all white people, right? White people in South Africa who have been killed for their land and been taken over by the South Africans there. And it seems like it's real, number one, and it seems like it's bigger than we imagined, in my opinion.
I have a friend that does really well.
Well, we should
in
ask.
South
We should
Africa.
ask Elon Musk.
I'm gonna ask.
He's South African.
I'm gonna ask a friend who I know does really well in South Africa. I'm gonna find out. Like,
Please
for sure.
do.
I'm curious.
Please do.
I'm actually curious.
I want to know it because the problem, and we've talked about this before, is that there is minority status for everyone in the world except for the Anglo-Saxon. You do not want to be a true minority Anglo-Saxon in some places in the world. And South Africa is showing us that if you are a white Anglo-Saxon in South Africa, your life is at stake. Like, there are no minority provisions for you because minority status only affects the higher melanin content individuals.
But if you go into like a Google Maps and you zoom over South Africa, the white people residences are like enormous plots of land.
They are
Huge.
they are a very industrious species.
Like ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
And then you have one street that divides it. And right across the street from these enormous compounds is like pure slum.
Shantytown. Yeah.
And it's separated literally by a dirt road.
Yeah, it's the whole railroad effect, right? On one side of the railroad, it's the rich. On the other side of the railroad, it's the poor.
It's like super rich and super poor.
Yeah, it's kinda like
the dichotomy between the two is so large.
It's also known as Naples, Florida. Same.
So I'm like, man, if I was born on the wrong side of this dirt road, I can understand why they're mad. Even if there was no context why they should be mad. You kind of get it. Because you go outside your hood and you're like, holy, at least in America, what they do well is they take the hood and the good parts and they separate it enough where no one notices each other.
Yes, that's
Right?
true. Absolutely.
That's what Atlanta actually does the best.
Oh yeah.
In Atlanta, if you're in a nice part of Buckhead, you can't take the wrong turn and end up in the hood.
No, you can't.
You actually have to go find the hood.
Yes.
But
Unless you're on I-20 towards westbound, then it's easy to find the hood over in industrial
but it's
park.
like poor, not hood.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough. Yes.
But in South Africa, you take one wrong turn, and actually Newark, New Jersey too.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
You take one wrong turn,
Yeah.
and you're in like the worst neighborhood ever. It's like You turn now and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about Newark, then you're just a stone's throw from Camden.
Yeah.
Right, you know Camden. All right, which is so fascinating because, not that you guys would know this, but I'm just going to say it anyway because I want to get it out of my system. There was a thing, I think it was 2014 or 2015, I remember that the number one highest murder rate capital of the world, or in America at the time, was Camden, New Jersey. But across the train tracks is Morrisville, New Jersey, which was rated as the number one best place to live in America that year. It was like this absolute dichotomy between the hood and the slum and rich white America. Absolutely. So it's just like that in South Africa.
Yes. So I'm not saying what they're doing is right. But I'm just saying I kind of understand.
But I'm going to argue with you, though, because there's a serious lack of self-awareness, though. You can talk about equity. You can talk about equality. You can talk about fairness all day. But we know that the great God above, he never talks about fairness. It is what it is. It's what I tell my kids. Like, God didn't say it was going to be fair. Deal with it. But the lack of self-awareness is the issue that I have. Is that let's say you were born on one side of the train, or one side of the road. Let's say they were the poor side of the road. Should you be mad? Should you be angry with the people on the other side of the road because they live in large, expansive mansions and they have lots of amenities and they have all the riches that they need? Should you be mad based on that fact alone? I don't think so. I think if you are mad, then you lack self-awareness. You've been placed in this place. You were born. You didn't ask to be born. But the roll of the dice, the RNG of life, allowed you to be spawned on the dirt side of the road instead of the rich side of the road. Should you be mad about that? The answer is no, sir. No, sir. You shouldn't.
I would be really curious to know. Because I bet you, this is totally random thought, but it'd be worth looking into. I wonder, because again, there are a couple really extremists within the black side of South Africa that are really riling people up right now.
Oh, yeah.
I would wonder how much the CIA is funding them.
Bro.
That's not a crazy idea, actually.
We do it all the time.
How much are we funding the extremists to create chaos there so that when the place goes bad, we'll be like, oh, look, we're going to go in and save it.
Yeah, we're going to go in and help.
We're going to help.
Yeah, me and Black...
Contract's nice.
Me and my homie BlackRock.
Yeah, BlackRock's about to clean up in here.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll loan you guys money. We'll build some 15-minute cities. We'll get you guys online. Like, we'll figure it all out.
I actually guarantee that they're involved.
I have no proof of that whatsoever. I've never looked into it. But just logically thinking, it's definitely not impossible.
Humans do not wake up and choose violence against other humans. If I can make a very simple model, I think I've thought of this before. It's a 3-step model. Number 1, humans don't wake up and choose violence against other humans. Number 2, there are some who are what I would consider agitators. They don't like the status quo. They don't like the unfairness, the equity. They don't like the how the balance of power is not in their favor. And these agitators, those are the ones that the 3-letter agencies say, he's riled up just enough. You know what he needs? Funding and guidance. And that's where I think the 3-letter agencies take over, is they say, ooh, we got a new agitator in South Africa. He seems to be, his social profile grew from 100 to like 10,000 in just a month organically. He's growing. You know what? I think I got a couple people that we need to send over there and let him know that he could be well funded.
Help him with the logistics.
Yeah.
Help him understand crowd control, organization, things that systems and processes can really help exponentially grow a movement.
Yeah.
You just introduce those as ideas.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden.
And it all starts
100,000 person arenas.
Yes. And suddenly he goes from zero to hero. He's well funded, well financed. Suddenly he has access to munitions and arms. Suddenly he has high-tech gear for networking.
Surveillance.
Yeah.
Information.
And suddenly random crates and pallets of cash and weapon systems are dropped in his location.
It's like right before a riot, all of a sudden there's pallets of bricks laying on the ground on the street corner.
Bro.
BLM riots, all of a sudden a pallet of bricks shows up right at the riot location. So coincidental.
Can we take a segue break for that?
How crazy was that?
How are people so ignorant and so dumb that they're looking at these, random pallet of bricks on the middle of East 5th Avenue?
Not even near a construction zone, just Boom, street corner, pallet of bricks.
Yeah, wired up with it's like, bro.
Take one only. A little
Yeah, one per customer.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
Yeah, come on, guys. Like, it is not hard. It doesn't cost that much money to bus people in, to drop off some pallets of bricks.
The bus drops right in front of the pallet of bricks. Coincidental.
Yep, and of course there's this 6'2" white dude with a balaclava on that's covering most of his face, kind of like leading the charge.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you don't look like you're from around here, number one. Number two, you're kind of an awkward 6'2" white dude that no one would believe on the worst days anyway. And number three, why are you, the somewhat not dirty white dude with this face mask, why are you throwing the first brick?
Dude, didn't you hear he said free bricks?
Oh,
Free bricks! It's free?
free bricks?
I get to throw a brick.
Because the 6'2" white guy with the balaclava hiding half of his face, he would totally be the guy and the demographic that would say free bricks. I'm all about it.
Love free bricks.
Right? I heard about the sale on Friday from my homie Richard. Right? No, not happening, guys. So your assertion that three-letter agencies are deeply involved with the South African, massacre that's happening right now. I'm going to use that word. I think you are 100% over the target. 100%.
And I don't know if the massacre is existing. I'd like to find out more.
They are getting massacred. It is.
We'll talk to someone there. I need to know. I'm so curious.
So, yeah. Well,
Okay.
the irony on the other side is I've also seen some memes of the black Africans also saying, we should stop killing the white man because they're actually making our food for us. I find those articles to be the funniest.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about like Rhodesia.
Yeah.
Where there was a white population helping the blacks in area of, where was it? Zaire? No, Zimbabwe?
Something like that.
And in Rhodesia, and eventually the world was like, that's racist, and they had to leave, and the blacks were like, no, like, we actually like them here.
Yeah, we kind of need them back because
They were like educating us, and they're helping us with our economy, helping us with our agriculture, and helping us with everything. Like, we actually didn't want them to leave.
Yeah, because
But the world said, no, that's racist. You can't, like, make the black people work. And
Yeah.
then that became a thing. Memory hold for a lot of people.
memory hold.
Rhodesia story. If you guys are interested, definitely go down that rabbit hole.
The Rhodesia story is a very simple story showing the differential in species, Matt. There are some species who are industrious.
Species.
There are some species who are industrious. There are some species that are not. And so, if you'd like to have a society where there are utilities, there's access to education, there's access to opportunity, you probably don't want to kick out the species that is willing to build the infrastructure so that happens. What do I know, Matt? What do I know?
The Rhodesia story, we won't go into too depth. Definitely worth going down that rabbit hole. I think it's an important part of history.
I think
it's a lot to learn from.
I think if you go into it, it'll black pill a couple of people because it'll just be like, whoa, maybe noticing patterns in people groups matters.
So going back to the executive order that Trump signed. Okay. That's where we started. So Trump signed an executive order, and he said that because the whites, the Africans, and the Boers are getting their land appropriated by the rest of the South African government, that we are now going to accept them in the United States as refugees.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a second. I thought we were getting the refugees out. And then he just signed an executive order to bring more refugees in. I'm like, we're supposed to get them out. You just brought more in.
I'll play the argument on the other side.
Okay.
These are white people that he's asking to come.
Fair.
That's better.
What happened to closing the border? Is that not a thing? Because you can't say we're closing the border and then say, no, we choose to bring other people in.
No, the answer is
because you choose one group, then you can choose another group, you can choose another group. You're setting precedent for who you can pick and choose allowed to come in.
Well, we had an episode on this. The number one species that is coming into America are the SARS. So we have to balance out the SARS with Anglo-Saxons. Right?
The SARS are still going to come. Once you allow them to come in, you're going to allow the SARS in. And you allow the SARS in because they made a deal and with all these contracts and work, and they're supportive of Israel. So they're on the list of good people.
But that's kind of speaking to kind of my point. If Trump is opening up the border to make it porous for the white Anglo-Saxons, the Boers in South Africa, that's actually going against the tiny hats. The tiny hats don't like.
No, the tiny hats don't like the South African government.
Yes.
So in Trump's executive order, he said two things. One, we will let the Africans that are affected by the South African policies to come into the United States as refugees.
Yes.
We're going to allow them in. If you're white and you're from South Africa, we'll take you.
Yes.
Again, very anti this closed border policy.
Yeah, we want more Elon Musks.
Nobody wants more Elon Musk. Okay. So that he just allowed that. Number two thing he said in the executive order is it's because the South African government calls what's happening in Israel and Palestine, that he calls that a genocide. And they're on the wrong side of the genocide.
I see.
Wait, what?
This is also confusing.
So South Africa is not getting penalized only because of appropriation of land. They are getting penalized because they are on the wrong side of the war in which he perceives as the right side.
Oof, man, I get it. I'm with you. Okay. So the tiny hats hate Africa.
The tiny hats hate South Africa.
Yeah.
And they are being punished for it.
I feel like the Q storm would start rising right now and saying, yeah.
No refugees allowed, except if you're the enemy and we need to get rid of your people. Thanks for watching the clip. If you want to see the full episode, click here. If you want to see more clips, click here.